Hello. Welcome to another spooky Arc 26 episode of Write Once, Read Many. I wish there was a skeleton-based member of the Slaughterhouse-9. Like a spooky, scary skeleton, perhaps? A more Halloween-y monster. Hello, it's Vic. Let's see here. So the audience participation reminder is 26.4. Would you be able to eat Nilbog's dinner to keep things moving? Greg says, hi. As far as themes, I don't know, like the power dynamics between Jack and Taylor, I guess. I'd say that I was too distracted by other things. Grossness, maybe, as a theme. Powers are gross. I don't know. I don't think I have a strong answer for themes this time. Let's let this speed draw play out real quick, though. We've of course got the real body for Jamie Rink, which I don't know that they used that name in this chapter at all. Let's see. Yeah, no. So Jamie Rink, who will be henceforth known as Nilbog, is I don't know, this dumb asshole who murdered a whole town. We saw him earlier in the book, and see him again now on the art. And he lives as Nilbog, the Goblin King. What a cool guy. So Ellisburg is this, town that we saw got taken over in the interlude way back when, in the backstory for Coil and Pigot. But we're back there in the modern day. And Taylor is going to have to follow Jack and Bonesaw in there. He's outside, and there's like this water treatment plant that's huge. That because there's a river that flows into the town that they haven't cut off for whatever reason. But I think that they had their reason to not starve out the Nilbog army and have them and him leave the town. So they do maintain the river and the treatment plant to allow them to have a source of water. And there's like 60 feet walls around the whole thing, but the water treatment plant is even larger than that. It says that it's surrounded by 60-foot concrete walls, and later they will describe a squat concrete building, and I just kept thinking concrete hovel the whole time. What do these Nilbog creations live in concrete hovels? Let's see here. It is, but the place they live isn't the concrete building. I think so. I just thought that Oh man, that was an all-timer describing Taylor's house as a concrete hovel. Oh man. Um. Yeah. So the dragonfly lands, and Taylor gets out, and she is trying to she's trying to like get in contact with Dragon, and like she doesn't understand why the Azazels aren't attacking and aren't engaging Jack and stuff, but uh they were in like a dormant mode, which we know is caused by Saint taking over Dragon, and she's unable to reach Dragon, and she checks if her message was read. She has no read receipt, and she's like, Dragon always reads the message. Always! Which is true normally because she's an AI, but Taylor doesn't know that. She just thinks that Dragon never sleeps and also always looks at the notifications, but still has a human body. And she starts talking with Defiant. Defiant's trying to explain that there's a situation with Dragon, so the Azazels aren't going to help fight, and they're not going to be reliable for now. She's like actively alarmed and perturbed this whole time, which is fair, but like just everything is failing at this critical moment. Um, uh, and she's more or less on her own, even if backup is on the way, and so she heads inside, and well, first she thinks through like, oh, Dragon must be suffering more of her illness, whatever was happening to her in Brockton Bay. It's catching up to her. And she can even hear the emotion in Defiant's voice. Oh, Greg says it's hovels all the way down. It really is. It's all hovels all the time. It's like a pile of turtles if every turtle was a concrete hovel. Anyway. So yeah, she says to send Golem in after her to back her up when he arrives, but she's going in now, and then she bolts and goes to the thing, and she just goes through the same path as the group Jack was with. Like the doors are torn off, probably by the Siberian, she's thinking. Which makes sense. And she's trying to like figure out what might be laying in wait for her, like if Cherish is here or Screamer or Nyx. She thinks of, and you gotta think if one Cherish was left behind as like a landmine practically, she could probably get most people to kill themselves just like who were coming along. I don't know. I think that's kind of crazy. But luckily, Jack is kind of an idiot, and he's like, oh, it's too boring, and he sent all the Cherishes, 7 of them, to die at once, and Taylor had killed one, so there's only really one left. So at least we know that if he uses Cherish to kill Taylor now, that she's not killing someone else. No, but lucky for Taylor, Jack has not left behind any traps, actually, because he's, like, from his own perspective, in such a commanding position, having the Siberian give him the invulnerability, that he's just like, it's fine, I don't need to worry about this. And then, let's see here. She keeps having conversations with her passenger throughout this whole thing. and like thinking thoughts actively and like getting nothing in return. And she thinks even stuff like how she's tried hypnosis and stuff, trying all sorts of things to like bring forth the passenger and be able to communicate with it, but it hasn't worked. She wants she wants her passenger to make sure to keep killing Jack even if she dies, which I think is very typical hardcore Taylor. And comports with events that we've seen in the past. Let's see here. When she actually moves her swarm out to like try and investigate the city, then they start getting eaten by like frog tongues, basically. And then she withdraws her swarm. The city's all crazy. It's like been dressed up to have like weird like strangely shaped buildings and add-ons to buildings, and like all the plots of land have like twists and stuff. And they've like set out the trees in weird ways to form shapes, all kinds of things. They did all the goblin-y things to make this an ominous zone. You go in this town and you're like, wow, something's up. And then if you walk a few more steps, then probably like a spine creature shoots a spine at you, or like a different kind of lizard bites your head, or like a big huge dude punches you into a house. All sorts of bad stuff could happen. And you can tell just from looking for a second that whoever runs this place, a real weirdie. She is talking about how there's like an ominous scare. Well, she's thinking about how they observing this ominous scarecrow with a dog's head, and it's like like a dog's skull, not like an effigy of a dog made of something else. And all sorts of things. Although, the scarecrow is just for aesthetics. They actually want birds to come in here so that they can grab them with their frog tongues. But let's see here. Yeah, she's noting the absence of insect life on the surface and realizing that all the insects are being eaten. And then she meets some creations of Nilbog, a lizard child with a big, crazy, misshapen lizard head with open jaws and big teeth. And then like a pig girl, kind of. Although, generally they just sound like they got a lot going on, a lot of different things. And she wears a potato sack, so I guess she's like an old-timey political cartoon of destitute poorness. There's a sort of a standoff, and Taylor just lets the creatures grab her equipment and take it from her because she's kind of in their territory, and they don't immediately kill her, which is good. And she's trying to talk to them, and she's willingly giving up her equipment and saying that she wants to go see Nilbog. Vic says, I don't like this part where she says something about genitals being larger than her entire body. Yeah, that guy hasn't quite shown up, but he'll be here soon. Um, uh, yeah, I mean, I think this place sounds awful. Um, but maybe it would be an interesting place to look around if, the creatures, uh, perhaps were elsewhere. Um, Vic says, yeah, like, Taylor is way too chill about it. I couldn't handle this. I think she's sort of mentally prepared for so many, like, awful, weird things in so many directions that she's, like, the perfect person to go in here. Um, I mean, I can think of, like, at least one other cape who would just freak the fuck out. Like, Vic says, yeah, maybe she looked at enough photos online. I just would need some prep. The Nilbog creatures are individually so scary, and there's so many of them. Yeah, it's like the thing that Pigot and Coyle like fought against was like one of the ultimate like Cape Nightmare scenarios. Like, like if you just had to fight a couple of any one of these creature types, that would be like, ugh. But like to have dozens of different types, like little spiders and like weird babies and like giant like clowns and like spike throwing ones and like the one that if you shoot it with fire it pops and explodes out the things it was pregnant with. You know, and we're getting the triple loudly crying emoji from Vic. You know, a classic response to having to hear about Nilbog. Let's see here. So after, you know, asking to see Nilbog, and more sort of like weird non-verbal like moving around and interacting, then more things keep peering out of the darkness. It says like from between slats and within trees. So, you know, plenty of these freakish creatures. But she starts telling them Nilbog is in danger. The man with him, he has dark hair, a beard. He's with a striped woman. Bad people. I think they're going to try to hurt Nilbog. Hurt the man who made you. So you get upset and leave this place. So, she's going like full cards on the table. An earnest plea. Greg says, Nilbog's passengers scanned the world for the most horrifying creatures to create and settled on Big Dick Goblin and Giant Clown. He's not wrong! Big Dick Goblin and Giant Clown, terrifying. And, let's see here. All her equipment gets all fucked up before she makes that plea. Like her spider silk gets knocked onto the ground and unspools and gets dirt in it. And she's like, ah, I'm gonna have to fix that. I mean, she says that internally, but she, like Vic said, is being really chill about this whole situation. And then the creature Vic described arrives, and yes, it says his massive belly swung right and left as he loped. His so distended. Oh wait, no, I should start earlier. He was big, fat, and moved on 4 limbs that each had opposable digits. Each massive belly, or his massive belly swung right and left as he loped, so distended and so close to the ground as it swung that I worried it would hit something and split open. His genitals were almost bigger than I was, and they were, along with his sensory organs, the only way I could tell his front from his back. So yeah, this is a real ghoulish, freaky thing. It's Big Dick Goblin. And apparently his sensory organs consisted of slits up the top and to bottom from a ridge at one end of his body. There was no room for a brain, no eyes present. So, you know, he's a big freaky guy. He's like worse than what you'd see as a video game monster. So he approaches them a bit, and then the like other creature goes up and just like grabs him and pulls him closer. And then he like starts like grabbing at Taylor's flight pack and like swinging her around and stuff. And she's protesting that she's not a danger and she wants to see Nilbog, and she's like staring around looking for assassins while she's getting sort of righting herself again. She says she has a gift for Nilbog. And then after she says that finally wins them over. Some of them go back to like whatever their resting spots or whatever, but some of them lead her to, they escort her forward, and she follows them. And then she starts bug listening onto the scene before she quite gets there, but she's hearing Jack talking to Nilbog. I'll look forward to this, God King. You should. Your hospitality astounds me. I'm unworthy. Hardly. So yeah, he's you know, being very obsequious to this Goblin King. And it says here, I gotta quote this for sure. So Jack was situating himself as someone subservient, even servile, so as not to challenge Nilbog's alpha status. He was playing nice here. I just think that that's so funny. He's like, oh, woe is me. I beseech myself to you, King. But the fact that she says it's his alpha status, that's the funny part. And you know, Vic says Riley, Jack is a Sigma. You know, he doesn't need to big dog up with his alpha. He has no issue pretending to be beta. Yeah, exactly. Because he knows in his Sigma heart of hearts that he is an incredibly rare type, and he's in charge of all the situations. Anyway, so enough making fun of online dummies. She, you know, as she's approaching the center of town following her escort, she's seeing all types. She's like, wow, this is really scary-ish. I'm not scared, but other people would be, she thinks. No, it's she's saying that all of these creatures are twisted and exaggerated away from being like human. and she's not sure if it was intentional or not, but yeah, she goes into this like crazy color contrast zone, and there are checkered tablecloths and stuff, and it's like crazy in there, and Bonesaw's there, and so is Jack. So she's got to be careful that Jack has silverware in front of him, the bastard. And Bonesaw's sitting on the shoulders of a creature. Looks like a flayed bear, it says. Um, uh, And then Nilbog is, she says, easily 400 pounds and sat on a throne that apparently had cobbled together from dismantled furniture. His face was covered with a paper mask. Other creatures sat on chairs to his left and right. Vic says, do you think Jack has ever used his power on a plastic butter knife? Probably not, because like as much as he thinks he's a real inventive sicko, like he's got they'll never top me edgy boy energy. I just don't think he would use it on he would not be creative enough to think to butter knife someone as a evil thing to do. Vic says he uses it to spread butter on really long bread. Like one of those giant subs. He can spread the mayo so fast. Do you think when he uses his power on a butter knife, if it has a coating of like sauce or butter or whatever, that go can he increase sauce? That's what I'm trying to ask. Could Jack just be could Jack have been good this whole time and just been like multiplying sauce when making sandwiches? At scale? He could have been industrial scale multiplying sauce. Vic says, I think it'll spread the sauce perfectly on the blaze extent sad. But Greg says the much more compelling infinite sauce glitch. So I don't know. The listeners at home can decide if you have an infinite sauce glitch or if it would merely and disappointingly spread the sauce perfectly on the whole blade. Which is probably more likely. I mean, Jack is a real piece of shit. There's no way he would multiply sauce that might help other people. Um, uh, so anyway, she gets to this dinner of all this, Jack and Bonesaw and Nilbog kind of thing. And uh, then she sees that they have like some sort of horrifying entertainment. I looked, then wished I hadn't. A bloated, coarse-looking creature lay on the ground, almost like a potato made of hair and flesh. Smaller things were busy carving gouges and holes into it. The resulting wounds regenerated, but not before the smaller creatures inserted body parts into the openings, allowing the regenerated flesh to close tight but not completely. I averted my eyes from the scene, content with letting my brain register which parts were being letting my brain register which parts were being inserted and what they were in fact or doing after the fact. Vic says there's an episode of Rick and Morty that is just this scene. There's a king, all his nasty creatures, horrifying entertainment. Yeah, and isn't it like a dream world that sort of the parameters are set by the people there, doing like dream stuff, and then it's like a holodeck that just does whatever they kind of like think up. And there's like a guy who's been stuck there since he was a child. Yeah, I think I saw that one. Um, the like mom, it was her friend when she was a kid or something. And the Rick left him in the zone by accident. Oh, she left him in the zone. I thought that he did, but you know, eh, they have her they have her do more evil stuff. Yeah, it was a plot twist. I got you. Yeah. I can't believe she left him in that zone. Um Yeah, there's a lot of points at which people are like, Dan Harmon did a thing that makes us think that he's Red Worm. But none of them. That one was the most compelling. Most of them, I was just like, I mean, it could just be that it's a common concept, but that one was like kind of the nail in the coffin where I was like, okay, someone on this writing team, probably. I mean, my favorite random thing from that was that when people were trying to say the guy made of bugs was worm thing. I like guy made of like a million ants or whatever that was. But that also felt to me like a ripoff of Ants Man. That's great. That's a great name. It did make me think that it was probably more likely to me to be a ripoff of Guy Made of Bees. But I don't know which is actually more like culturally relevant. I think more people have played KOL than have read Worm, probably. But it's a writer's room, so they're more likely to have read a big long thing. But also, KOL is mostly a reading-based game where you're reading a bunch of things. So maybe writer's room people would like that too. I don't know. So Nilbog notices Taylor and is like, oh, it's another guest. And then Jack is like, this isn't one of mine. This is Skitter. And then she's like, that guy sucks. That guy Jack is a bitch, and I am the greatest. I am a queen, much as you. I am your equal, and you will give me a seat at the table. Darn it. And then they agree to a ceasefire while they dine. She says she's given away her weapons, but that the Siberian is a living weapon. And Nilbog's like, I don't care. Also, like, I do find it interesting. I don't know if it's like, I don't know if it says anything that I can think of specifically, but Jack took like the only male Siberian or whatever, and left the female Siberians to be in this sort of like big throwaway group. Anyway, Vic says maybe he thought Nilbog would be too into the female Siberian. Oh my god. That might be true. That might be true. I was also thinking that like I don't know if it has any like the fact that it's like different from before, and he's like he hates sameness, I guess. Vic is right that he likes the most exotic women. But anyway, so they sit down at the table. Jack is allowed to have, the Siberian there with them, and also have a knife that he could potentially slash at Taylor with. And she doesn't really have any cards up her sleeve. But this is when she declares that she's the equal, a queen. And then Jack tries to be like, oh, but you had to leave your territory, so you suck. And he's like, well, that was Jack's fault. He's the pretender. He pretends to be cool, but then he sucks. She doesn't say it like that, but you know, it's a big back and forth. They're accusing each other of things. She offers a gift that she will feed protein from the bugs to his subjects. So she brings in her swarm and bugs from beyond Ellisburg and brings them to a bunch of the minions, and the minions start devouring all the bugs. And as Vic points out, nom 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 nom. Sometimes you gotta eat bugs, or feed bugs to your enemies, as Regent pointed out. So it turns out to be true that Taylor did feed bugs to her enemies. But then this is when, you know, this is when we get to the point where Taylor has to sort of search out to find if there's like a real... She's searching for a real Nilbog, which she finds, and searching for a real Siberian, which she doesn't find. And she knows that Jack could kill her, but wants the interplay of the game to continue. So she's using the game to make this continue. Let's see here. He demands that Jack demands that Taylor explain herself, and how she came about her nobility. She describes that she claimed a land for herself, and that she wants him to be able to keep his town that he made, and not listen to Jack, and just stay within his walls. And she's like talking about how he's already happy as his life has been going. I mean, she's also saying that Jack specifically ruined her shit. Jack keeps playing into Nilbog by being like, I've been sleeping these past few years. Naps are such an underrated pleasure. His voice and Nilbog's voice can be the same while he's in Nilbog's rhythm. They are. All my subjects nap every day. Yeah, it's like Jack is such a dumb asshole, and he thinks he's like super clever, but his side of the game is so much easier, and he's holding all the cards and stuff. It's like Taylor said, like, he could kill her, but he's not, and it's because he is in this position of power, and he's like, oh, I'm so like smart and so like clever with all my little plans, but it's like, man, you ain't shit. I'm sorry, I can't hold in my Jack sucks rants. So anyway, he's a great character, well written, to make me hate him in exactly this way. So doing the job well. But let's see here. So Taylor tells him she was more powerful than he was, which angers Nilbog. And then this is when she says that Jack made a promise to people, and Bonesaw says she's making stuff up. I think metaphorically it all works, but obviously Bonesaw is just gonna be like, "You're wrong. No." And Taylor focuses on the fact that even though Bonesaw has commented, Nilbog hasn't told her to stop. So she goes on, and you know, this is punctuated with her thinking about his psychology and his obsession with this weird childhood fairy tale thing. So she's like trying to play into the fairy tale aspect. And this is when she says, Jack promised that he'd come back when his nap was done, and he'd destroy my kingdom. He said he'd destroy your kingdom, Nilbog, and every other kingdom. He said he'd kill all of my people, and he'd kill all of your creations. All of this from the man you describe as a mere thug? Yes, a woman with great powers told him he could do it, and how he's going to try. It's why he's here. To destroy my kingdom? No, he wants you to go to war against your neighbors, to break down the walls that keep you safe, and fight people who are leaving you alone. He'll use you as a distraction, and then when everything is done, he'll come back and destroy your kingdom, and he'll do it in the cruelest, saddest ways you can imagine. Nilbog nodded slowly. And then Nilbog thinks that this is like having an angel on one shoulder and a devil on another, and he makes two new creatures. He blobs them out. They are like flying monkeys, and he describes them as an angel and a devil, and Jack, before anything can really be said, claims the angel. It's got a horn that forms a little halo above its head, and then a red one with gazelle horns that gets given to her. Nilbog's asking if Jack can sort of rebut the claims of the queen. And Jack says he can, but they need to eat first. They shouldn't argue over a meal. Nilbog agrees, of course. Nilbog describes, at Bonesaw's request of describing how the chef creates this, that the chef stores all the ingredients they can find inside, then barfs out the form they require, and they ask for it to be hearty and chunky today. It's also getting rained on. I guess they're in open air plaza while they're you know, our hero Taylor thinks so. It is vomit. And then Bonesaw being like a little demon, being like you know, some say that the you know, you can redeem Riley Bonesaw from the depths of being Riley Bonesaw. Others say that this moment happens and that it's irredeemable. She says, "It tastes like cupcakes," around a mouthful. Taylor thinks that she should try to move her mask and eat. She starts to, and then she notices that Jack's holding the knife and is probably going to cut her neck and chin if she tries to pull up the mask high enough to eat. Apparently he's sort of idly swinging the blade back and forth at her neck while, it says, his eyes rolled back and looking up at the overcast sky above. And he glances down and meets her eyes. But then he starts talking to her. I like this. Our apparent rivalry aside, have you been well, Bug Queen? Well enough. Then you should be hungry. It's a busy few days, and it'll only get more interesting. I notice your friends are sitting this one out. Did you break it off completely, or you're still in touch? Still in touch. And then she thinks about how the knife is... She says the knife is purely psychological. If he wanted to kill me, he could use the Siberian to do it. But she moves the mask while still looking at Jack, and takes a bite, and horrifically notices it does taste like cupcakes, which makes her, horribly nauseated, as well. Saying it's worse than if it was real vomit taste. And then, she lets the little devil that has been handed to her by Nilbog eat the most of the stuff. Apparently they have to sit through the end of the show of the weird like torture and sex show that was happening for them. And when Nilbog claps enthusiastically, Taylor does as well. Then there's like a gladiatorial fight. Let's see here. Finally, Jack tries to move things along. He's like, is everyone done? Like, he's bored by the proceedings of the, like, sex and violence shows that Nilbog has. It's actually kind of crazy. You'd think that he'd love this, but he's like, this is boring. This is pedestrian stuff. And then, so Jack makes a pitch that Weaver is right, that he wants to destroy all the other kingdoms, and the only point where she's wrong is where he's going to come back and kill Nilbog. Nilbog's going to be fine. He's not going to do anything to Nilbog. Are you crazy? That's crazy. He's actually going to make Nilbog immortal. It's like, thanks. And like all the creatures immortal. Gotta make everything immortal. And then Taylor's still trying to think through the psychology of Nilbog. Jack is even trying to say that he wants to replace the whole world with Nilbog creations, and that he wants to get rid of the boring humanity and have Nilbog guys just sort of invade the entire planet. Taylor's trying to rebuke this, saying that Jack is going to destroy everything. He doesn't actually want to do what he's saying. And then Jack is using the sort of the trap of civility to be like, oh, did I interrupt when you were speaking? And it's bullshit. Taylor's still searching for Siberian's creator. It's just not working. And then she realizes he must be hiding as one of the freakish creations. She says, how was I even supposed to assassinate him if he was going that route? Which, lines like that are sometimes very funny. And then, Jack's a real freak. Jack licked his plate. And then goes back to talking about how he wants to replace society and how it's going to be a romantic goal. And Bonesaw's helping him along here. Still a real piece of shit. that Riley Bonesaw. And Taylor's saying that if Nilbog gives Bonesaw the ability to give them eternal life, that they will also be enslaved to her. Bonesaw says, I never. But we will see in like 1 or 2 chapters a bunch of monsters rigged up to control frames. So, I never. I love to see all these beautiful things he makes. To control him would mean I'd take that creativity away. And then Nilbog says, that's a good argument. Besides, to enslave a god, madness. And Taylor thinks, all of you are lunatics, and I made the mistake of trying to talk sense. And then Jack says it's a good argument because they're right, actually. Jack just keeps trying to sell him on stuff, but Golem shows up at this point. Oh my god, Golem's here. And he takes off his helmet and he offers Nilbog a slight bow. And then Nilbog asks each of the parties if he is part of their group, and they say no. And Bonesaw tries to object to this, to say that Golem is one of Taylor's people, and he says, I'm a third party. I stand for myself. And then there, he says he stands for the innocents. So Golem gets a seat at the table, and Nilbog loves this. He's like, a third group? This is great. And then as Nilbog talks through things, Jack keeps interjecting, like, the sin of sloth versus the realm of possibility. And Nilbog's loving it whenever Jack talks. Alien Cat Daddy is here. Nilbog, I've been gone too long. Yep, we are at the point when you missed the scene. The scene with the eating of the food. Anyway. So Nilbog is trying to weigh stuff, and Jack keeps convincing him. And Jack is like telling him, you gotta go to war. You gotta make sacrifices for a brighter future. Trust me, guy. Jack's doing the most. He's all over the place. But he is constantly winning the conversation, basically. And Taylor feels like, I can't believe I'm in one of Jack's games. And then Nilbog demands that Golem speak up for himself, and Golem then says he's gonna go heart of the matter time, and he says, were you happy before any of us came here? And then Nilbog gives his explanation, as previously described partially by Vic. He goes, yes, I can eat the most delicious foods, yet get every nutrient I need. I can fuck the most beautiful and exotic women you'd ever imagine, whenever I wish. Every need is provided for 100 times over, and I'm surrounded by those who love me. And then Golem's like, then stay here, just keep doing your thing, my guy. And then Nilbog is temporarily thinking about this. Golem is saying he's the tiebreaker. He's saying to do what the queen said. And then Jack sort of jumps the shark a bit in the conversation. He brings us to a tipping point. He says You've got to stop lying to yourself. Your people are slowly starving. You make them eat each other to live, and desperately attempt to shoot any birds out of the sky so you can recoup what you lose. And then he's like, it's true. And then he brings out Polka, and Polka is his favorite, but it's not even the first Polka. And so he's saying, yeah, I mean, you can ascend to true godhood and give immortality to your beings. You know, have you thought of that? Maybe you should have thought of that. And then Nilbog's like, my first friend. And then Jack, you know, is convincing him. It's working, and Golem is still, you know, trying to sway him. Taylor's saying that a king can't be selfish, really playing into you know, his thing. A god definitely can't be selfish. Your responsibility is to your creations. But this, unfortunately, is easily judoed by Jack into being like, exactly, you got a responsibility to get these bone cell things to make you immortal. And Nilbog loses his patience. And then he's all angry. He's on the edge. He's gonna start killing people. He's outside of his comfort zone. And then she says that there's an assassin in their midst, and they realize that one of the creations there is not his own. And Nilbog looks around the crowd, and he gets two of his creations to grab hold of this thing. And then they start making excuses, saying it's Bonesaw. She just made an homage to his stuff. And then Nilbog's about to try and kill Jack, who is currently immortal by Siberian, but Nilbog refuses to listen about that, so, you know, he doesn't really understand what's going on. And then let's see here. Oh yeah. Golem sort of attacks while Jack is sort of still talking before the Siberian gets the chance to attack. And then the Siberian lunges down into the soil, into the picture we're seeing here with the real body of Nilbog, and is going right for the real Nilbog. And then because Golem had used his power, Nilbog you know, screams to kill the queen, kill Golem Man. And, you know, I recently have been rereading Consider Phlebas. And Nilbog reminds me a lot of Fui Song from Consider Phlebas. So I kind of think of that awful audiobook performance for Fui Song, where his lips sound all jolly, and he talks kind of like this. Yeah. Anyway, so Golem and Taylor, they gotta get the hell out of there. And they call out for the Azazels, and Golem is creating platforms and stuff. And you know, they're being chased by all sorts of monsters, leaping onto rooftops, all sorts of things. They're sending projectile attacks, as we've seen in the past. They can hurl big spines and stuff. They're doing that. Taylor's still calling in the Azazels. It's not working. Nothing's happening. And then she's burrowing her body toward her bugs toward the real body. It'd be funny if she was burrowing toward Nilbog, like, I've got to burrow under. No. Uh so yeah, in this point, Taylor says, yes, worms. But she also sends centipedes and other subterranean bugs. And they go into the sack and go down his throat and nostrils into his airways. And she's yelling that they've been betrayed, all the creatures. And, you know, she's trying to say all this, and then Jack starts slashing at her, and it's slashing the straps off her flight pack. And she's, you know, falling. It does not go well. She tries to do a thing. It looks like it's about to work, kind of, and then that asshole Jack shows up, basically. And yeah, she is. Oh yeah, sorry, I got distracted by rereading some of the lines. She has used her bugs to talk to Golem and is telling Golem what to say to turn the creatures against the Slaughterhouse Nine, and Golem is able to successfully sway the crowd in this moment, the crowd of creatures, to blame Jack, and he's saying that he killed the king and stuff, and it is funny that Taylor is like actively killing the king and being like, quick, blame Jack. Like, Jack was also going to kill the king, but it's just funny. The kind of similar tactics that they use for different reasons. Yeah, there's creatures. She's using the flight pack to escape. Golem is trying to get there. You know, she can still control the flight pack with the bugs, even if she's not physically next to it. So she, you know, was able to get to herself. And a bunch of these creatures seem to be attacking the Nine, while another half seem to be intent on killing her and Golem. So they gotta get the hell out of there as fast as they can. But as they get to the wall, there are a bunch of capes on their side, from Hero Capes. They've got like Revel and stuff from their group, and they're fighting off tons of creatures. And the Siberian grabs one of them umbilical cords you see that goes down to the main king in the artwork, the main Nilbog, and then hauls him up through the ground, extending the Siberian invulnerability, and they keep him alive, and Bonesaw's gonna like bonesaw him to life. Taylor says, well, thanks. I felt a moment's despair. Foil. Someone who could stop Siberian. Somebody. The heroes advanced, but the Nine created a portal and were gone in a flash. Nilbog carried between them, leaving the monsters of Ellisburg to riot. Yeah. And it's like they don't just lose out on killing any of the members of the Nine, but they got a new member who's like really powerful. This sucks. So, you know, we need to have some moments of darkness for Taylor. How could this situation get any worse? Alien says, does Jack react to Taylor being a hero? Start another reread. I'm like an arc behind you guy. yeah, he's asking her how things have been, but he knows she's a hero because he saw the broadcast where she decided to become a hero before he, like the Weaver announcement at the end of Arc 22, before he went into the stasis pod. So, yeah. And that's cool. Arc 25, pretty good place to be. A lot of good book left, and you're kind of getting into the thick of things. But yeah, as far as final chapter thoughts, what a gross, weird chapter. What a great chapter. Um, I, I do like this chapter, but man, it's like, sometimes Wildbow has to sort of push the limits and be like, how heinous should this scene be? And, this is one of those classic moments. It's a bunch of gross stuff. You know, there's the puke eating. I think I've talked about that aspect enough for now. Especially because it's also the audience participation question. The creatures are inventive and stuff, but boy, um, I I'm like I'm almost glad that there's not a visual show of this scene, of anything that happens in this chapter. Um, uh, Dude. This is another. This is like an arc of progressive low points until sort of like a. It's like it starts off really high. Well, no, chapter one's really depressing. Chapter two is like, okay, we're kind of nailing it. We're doing really good at this fight. Chapter three, they're like, we did it again. We have like completed this fight. There's escalating battlefields. There's more and more places, and we're not sure what's gonna like happen next, but we're doing well. And then the dragon, well, the saint turning off dragon chapter happens, and it's like this huge like, oh no, everything's gone wrong at once, and then like Jack goes to Ellisburg right as that's happening, all of this, and so this is like the start of the downswing, and like the situation will continue to get more dire, and I think that it's good in that way. This chapter also has lots of like, I don't know, conversation that contrasts Jack and Taylor, and like being able to bring Golem into the mix. I think it's like what Taylor was doing wasn't working, and without Golem, she wouldn't have been able to do this. And so that's like cool to see, I guess. That like, um, even though she's better at being like like a super effective killer cape, that's not really what the situation calls for. And Golem's like earnest ethics or whatever, and like the way he's seeing the situation helps actually move them forward. Not that they like win the conversation exactly, but they certainly come out better than if just Taylor was there. And yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm done talking about arc stuff because I don't want to talk about future chapters too much. For characters, the aside from Taylor, there's Defiant. Defiant is very sad to the point where Taylor's like, is he like sad or something? I have no emotional awareness, and even I think Defiant is sad. Um, no, so yeah, it's through all of his robo filters and stuff. And being a man who is quote too cool for school, and all that. He's very sad about Dragon. And he, of course, does not talk about Saint being there and taking over the robots. He's just saying they're not dangerous, but unreliable. Oh, Alien says, does he plan on recruiting anyone else? Seems like his plan is just to speed run, turning all the most powerful parahumans he can find. Who else would he have gone for? I think that he wants to grab Nilbug because he can put a control frame on him and stuff, but I think that a lot of people he who are really powerful that he couldn't actually turn. Like, they never mention him trying to mess with like top tier capes from other like countries or anything. I think that he couldn't really deal with someone like the Sleeper. I think maybe the Sleeper has a large enough area attack that could just destroy the main body of the Siberian by accident. I think that he does want to just cause as much havoc as possible. I think Jack kind of wants to. There's like this implication that Jack is bored by the idea of having multiple of different capes, so he wants to like whittle down his forces in big throwaway attacks and then go back to having a regular Slaughterhouse 9. Like, he says he's gonna disband the 9, but by that I mean I think he means like disband the larger 9, and he's still gonna be like, and Bonesaw and Siberian, you have to come with me, and we're doing a new Slaughterhouse 9, but this time we'll call it a different thing, a new, even sillier name. So yeah, I think his plan was just to keep doing shit. I think he thought he'd win. Overall. But cuz he only wanted to he has a oh yeah, you might not remember this aspect. He has like a game plan where he is giving them 5 days to defeat him or whatever. And much like in the first time, when there's like this game is gonna have these set rules and there's 3 days to test each candidate, da 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 da. Like, I don't even know if they make it. They make it like 3, 4 total days from that, and the game totally falls apart. It's kind of the same here. Like, the idea that they were gonna do like 5 days of stuff doesn't really end up holding true. I think that it's like a day and a half. But there's a theoretical time limit. Mm-hmm. Um. So, yeah, after Defiant, who is noticeably shaken, but Taylor has no idea why. Dragon must finally be succumbing to her injuries. Then the next person we encounter, a bunch of weirdies in town. They clearly each have their own personalities and like interior lives, but also they are demons. Like, there is a large amount to me of cruelty of like of Nilbog himself in creating the vast majority of these creatures. Maybe some of them can live okay lives, but like the guy that Taylor's like, I don't think that thing has a brain. And he's like a big dick goblin with no brain. That seems unethical to create the big dick goblin with no brain. Alien says, you're saying he's a bad dad? Yes, most definitely. Nilbog is a real piece of shit, as some people would say. He didn't just used to be a piece of shit. He's a piece of shit right now. He probably has slick back hair, eats sloppy steaks. But, you know. I'm trying to think if any of his creatures are notable enough to get their own entries here. I don't think so. I don't think any of them are characterized enough to be in the characters section. There's little odd moments like the angel and devil ones that he creates for his like demonstration, and how like I guess that kind of shows his complete inability to like assign morality to anything. He's just like, Jack can be the angel. That's fine. I have no compunctions about anything. Everything seems normal to me. Um. Uh. But then. Hmm. Uh. Yeah, we can move on from the creations. Bonesaw doesn't have that many lines, but she is like peak Bonesaw. She's being terrible. And she is still fully in line with Jack. We know that she's using a control frame on herself to make herself the worst little girl version of herself that she's ever even been. Um, Peak Riley. Um, and yeah, I guess I don't have too much to say about Bonesaw. It's a redemption arc. You're gonna take a long time, and at the end, I'm still gonna think you're a piece of shit. Just that maybe we shouldn't kill you on sight. Maybe. Maybe. Who knows? We'll see. Um, and then next is Siberian. We don't really get any read off this Siberian, but again, it is interesting that it's like the male hologram Siberian is the one he took with him. Out of all the other ones, I think there's only the one with the male hologram Siberian thing. I guess a little interesting, but not too much to say there. Jack also being peak Jack, like he's able to sway this Nilbog fella. I'll talk about them together, I guess, because Nilbog is like the exact kind of person who just can't read anything. Like he can't tell when people are lying to him ever. He has like this is his first outside stimuli in like years. He just has like no ability to interact with humans at all. He's so useless. So easily swayed, and like being like falling for someone like Jack is so much easier than like not falling for someone like Jack. So obviously he does instantly. And then Jack gets to gloat like, "Oh, I'm the smartest. I'm the best boy." And he gets to smirk at Taylor. But, you know, as previously stated, he's really playing the easy side of the game. And he's like, "I keep winning on easy mode. I'm so cool." Anyway. I guess talking about Golem next. Golem is here, and he stands for the innocents. And despite Jack saying, "There are no innocents," he says, "There are always innocents." And I think Nilbog finds this compelling because under Nilbog logic, he and all his subjects are completely innocent, and they've never done anything wrong, actually. So, like, you're an idiot, Jack. I've never done anything wrong. Me, Nilbog. And Golem's able to really speak to their sensibilities. Before the 9 get out of there, he's even able to turn half the crowd against the 9, even though the final order from Nilbog's false body was to kill the queen and kill the Golem man. So, you know, pretty persuasive talk there to like fully countermand their god. So impressive stuff. Yeah, able to use his strengths as a very earnest young man who wants to stand for the innocent, in like such a literal sense. Just in a direct, that is the thing that makes him different from Taylor sense. So, pretty cool. Of course, despite everything, this does not stop them from fragging a bunch of these creatures in a minute. Which, I'm frankly, in a situation like this, you gotta do what you gotta do. I don't think there's any other notable characters other than Taylor. Like, Revel is here and does, like, an attack that destroys some creatures, but no lines. No characterization. So, yeah, on to Taylor. Wow, what a nightmare. Taylor is ready for anything. Taylor can go through anything ever. She just has such a hardened carapace of emotional scars. It's redonkulous that she's able to eat that vomit. She is there's gonna be this comparison where Golem like sees the heroes versus the villains, but it's like the heroes and villains versus the like true monstrous evil demons like Bonesaw and Jack. And the way he sees it is they're like opposite sides of the same coin, and no truer case is there than Taylor, that she's the opposite side of the same coin. She has just as much like grit and determination and will do anything to win, and will endure any indignity to keep things moving and proceed with the plan and defeat Jack. It's impressive. We salute you, Taylor. Anyway, I don't think I have anything more to say in the character section. As far as world building, I mean, there's a whole bunch of that in this. Like, this chapter's crazy. Like, thinking about this town and like visualizing it and like imagining all these little dudes, all these giant freaking dudes, and the Dick Goblin. It's really a lot. It's a lot of to put in one chapter. But I guess we did have some sample knowledge from that previous chapter that came to this time, but seeing it all these years later, my word. Alien says, is that where Coil gets his trigger? That is correct. Coil and Pigot both go through this, and we get a taste of it. But then, all these many years later, it is in the dying end states, and fully formed in the image he has imagined. Yeah. Well, for the audience participation question, the question is, would you be able to eat Nilbog's dinner to keep things moving? And Vic says, at first I thought no, but then Jack was being so annoying about it, I would have eaten it out of spite. This is a good answer. Very hardcore Taylor of Vic. Greg says, no, I'd pretend to eat, but I'd slip the food to whatever goblins are lurking beneath the table. They'd love it. The little gobblers. Probably meant to be more like, they'd love it, the little gobblers. I would do a combination move of what Greg said, but also something that me and Vic had talked about in the previous week, where I'd have the bugs eat some of it and be like, it's good. I can taste it through them. And be like that. Try to be all tricksy. But no, I don't think I'd eat the puke. I'm not hardcore like Taylor. Taylor's just, she's, a league of her own, as they say. That's what that movie's about, right? It's about someone who's hardcore who eats puke. Anyway, so the census answer, Alien is saying, I don't know what y'all are talking about. It sounds like a 5-star restaurant. Sounds like Alien is tipping us back into a medium balance. There's 2 who would eat and 2 who would not. Vic would eat it out of spite. Alien's just there for the cupcake taste and is saying, this is what I live for. Greg is feeding it to the gobblers, and I'm feeding some to the gobblers and some to the bugs. Yum. I could even be like, I must feed my population before I give them to you as a gift. The cycle of life must continue. I'd be all like talking up Nilbog like that. And like every 5-star restaurant, they have an open air table seating while it's raining. So I think we can move on to the question 26.5 for next week, which is create and describe your own goopy Nilbog creature. And in parentheses, they don't actually have to be goopy. Just a lot of them are. So, consider wisely, folks, what creepy little crawler you want. And, while you can just say Big Dick Goblin, I would prefer that you had other answers that were not Big Dick Goblin. So, yeah. I guess, with that, it's time to put on some creepy sounds. Creepy. So, the music used in this episode is dark ambient music, Asylum 01 by CO.AG Music. The YouTube link is in this stream description, as well as the others for this arc. All of our other links can be found in not only the stream description, but the channel description. Our Discord server can be found, at that link. The link for Patreon for Wildbow is patreon.com/wildbow. The full text of the work is available for free online at parahumans.wordpress.com. And there's also a fan-made audiobook of the entire work at audioworm.rain-online.org. So, thank you folks for being here, and I will see you next time. Cheers, Greg, from a ghost.